Hello, my name is Tommy, and in this short video I want to give you an introduction to treedoc, which is a Python package that I've created over the last couple of months with a friend of mine. Here's my system information. Installing treedoc is really simple. You just do pip install treedoc. And it installs almost immediately because it doesn't have any dependencies at all. It's pure Python. And what it does is it gives you this command line interface called treedoc, where you can write the name of any Python object, such as list. And in this video, what I want to do is give you an introduction to some of the ways you can use treedoc. First, I'm going to just show the various arguments and how it works, and then I'm going to give you some recipes for how you can use it. So you can use it on built-ins. You can write several like list and dictionary and set, then you get all of them. You can use it on packages, treedoc collections, for instance, or treedoc. You could do something like treedoc pandas data frame, and it will give you everything on the data frame object. You can hide information if you want to see less than this. So I could do, for instance, treedoc collections. Looks like this. If I want to hide the doc strings, I can write docstring 0 to hide everything. And I can do info 0, which will hide the repeated collections. It's collections deck, and then it's collections deck append. And if I want to hide all of that, I can do info 0. And I can do signature 0 if I want to hide the signatures. So now I just really have this high level overview, and I can, like for instance, say I want some doc strings back. I could do something like this. So you have quite a few options. Another important one is level, which tells you how far you want to go down. So if I write level 0, it will just recurse one level. If I do level 1, it will recurse 2 levels actually. Sometimes you have to use the subpackages command. If I do treedoc sklearn, scikit-learn, it doesn't give me much because in scikit-learn everything is in subpackages. So I have to write subpackages. Then it will recurse into all the subpackages. And again, I could do something like, if I just wanted an overview, I could do level 0 and docstring 0. And this will give me an overview of all the subpackages in scikit-learn. Another important thing is the modules flag. If I do treedoc on treedoc, I will just get information about this one function. And that's because that's the only thing that's exposed in the init file. If I want to actually go and look for everything, I have to do treedoc modules. And then it will actually go into every module, that is every .py file, and it will go look for functions and methods and stuff. And it executes all the code as it does this. So that's why it might be a little bit slow, because it actually executes the code. So it's a dynamic thing that's happening. As it executes code, it learns about these relationships like between modules and classes and methods, and then recurses down into this tree. So if I do this, I get more information. So I can show you the structure of treedoc if you want to. Let's see, perhaps just do this, info 0, and then signature 0. So here are all the functions and classes in treedoc. Okay, now I want to show you some recipes. If you're on a Unix system, you can probably pipe commands and pipe to less, which will let you scroll with J and K, so I can scroll up and down. Here it's actually just fills my screen, so I can't scroll, but let me do this with treedoc pandas data frame, and then pipe that to less. So now I can scroll up and down and look for things. Another useful recipe is, like if I go to desktop and testing. If I wanted to generate documentation, say I've written some code and I wanted to auto generate some documentation for a friend or something, I could do this, and I could just pipe everything to a file. So overview.txt, and then that creates that file, and I can do less overview to view it. So this is a really cheap way of storing some documentation. Finally, I can do something like I've written this file called functions here. It just has a function that's called add. It just adds two numbers. I can do watch treedoc functions pipe because it works on, as well as objects, it works on files. And watch will execute this command every 2 seconds. So I can do this, I can open a different terminal, and then I can go to desktop, testing, and open functions. And you'll see that as I write, let me just copy these 2 lines, go down, paste, subtract, and if I just write that out, it will update as I go. I can write some more stuff, can go towards the end and just show you a class person. Can have a method called age and a method called BMI, which just has a docstring, compute the BMI of a person, something like this. And then when I save that file, you see that the terminal on the left updates. Finally, one of the things that I use the most is using treedoc with grep. So I can do, say I'm wondering like what methods on a pandas data frame will deal with missing data. So I can do treedoc pandas data frame, that gives me this, and then I can grep for the word missing, so search for the word missing, case insensitive with that -i, and then B1 to get 1 line below. So that gives me this. 1 line above. Yeah, B is above, I guess. Okay, so then you can search and you can find like, okay, let's do something else. What about the word mean? It must be in the documentation somewhere. Okay, so we have mean absolute deviation, mean of the values of the requested axes, unbiased error or something. So that's kind of how I use it. And it's useful for 2 things. It's useful if you don't want to open a web page, like for instance, Pandas has great documentation, but you might not want to open a web page and click through that documentation if you just have like a quick question like, oh, what's that method called or something. And it's also great if you receive a package from a coworker and there is no documentation, but there might be some doc strings and the naming might be good, then this is great because you don't have to create a Sphinx project and it just gives you an overview immediately. So I hope you'll use treedoc and I hope you're happy with it. If you have any questions or if you want to contribute, you can go to the GitHub repository here. And it's not perfect. There are some bugs that I know about, but for normal use cases, this package seems to work well now. So hope you like it. Feel free to report an issue or contribute if you want to do that. Thank you.